In some major news, AEW looks poised to run yet another stadium show in 2025, potentially coming as Tony Khan promises more major announcements that are imminent. There's a lot to get to in this report. AEW looking to run a stadium show in, of all places, Australia. We're going to tell you exactly what the report has to say, what is next, all that and much more coming up right here in this video. So be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Okay, let's talk about what we know. So it was reported by the Sporting News today that All Elite Wrestling is looking to run another stadium show. That is in addition to this already announced show that they're doing in January at Wrestle Dynasty that is going to be in the Tokyo Dome alongside Wrestle Kingdom. You also have this rumblings going on about a Dallas show and a show at the Texas Rangers Stadium. Well, add another one to the list because according to the Sporting News, AEW line up blockbuster Australian stadium show for 2025. Here is the report, quote, "Pro wrestling juggernaut All Elite Wrestling could be headed down under with a blockbuster stadium show that in the works for 2025. It's understood that plans for the company's maiden Australian show are well advanced, with sources confirming AEW power brokers have been scouting venues along Australia's east coast. Sydney's Alliance Stadium, Melbourne's Marvel Stadium, and Brisbane's Suncorp Stadium shape as potential landing spots for the historic show, with entertainment group TEG understood to be backing the event. With a focus on quality matches and hard-hitting all-action style, AEW has exploded into a sports entertainment powerhouse since it was established in 2019, emerging as a bona fide rival to WWE. Under the AEW banner, names such as Maxwell Friedman, MJF, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, and Will Ospreay have become stars in the space, while tag team outfit Aussie Open have been flying the flag for Australia. We'll actually cut there for a second. Obviously, that is the big news part of it, and then we'll get into the extracurriculars there. But there you have it, like a report confirming that AEW is looking to run a stadium show in Australia. And this comes off the heels of earlier this year, Perth, Australia, getting Elimination Chamber. And another important note that I think is very critical to all of this. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics actually pointed out that he would not be surprised if this was strategically leaked in order to not only create buzz around a potential show in Australia, gauge the interest, whatnot, but also potentially start a bidding process. And I think there are going to be many people who may be, confused by that strategy. But the reality is it's something that's done in communications and PR all the time. Like, you'll give the media something in order to have them cover an event like this. And this is like essentially, in many ways, like a lot of free promotion for All Elite Wrestling. It's going to get people talking. Everyone online right now is talking about this specific, news point. And it's a very smart idea if you're AEW to do that, to get people riled up, to get people talking. And also, you get people talking, then the interest among the governments, which the city governments are the one who decide site fees and whatnot. Obviously, one of the big questions coming out of Australia that people are asking is like, why Perth? Why did WWE run Perth, Australia for Elimination Chamber instead of Sydney, instead of Melbourne, instead of all these other big cities? Well, the reason why, and again, East Coast is different than the West Coast in Australia. Like, Perth is like the only big city on the west coast of the country, and then you have the East Coast, which has like a few of these big cities that AEW is looking at. And Perth is where WWE ran that show. And, like the thinking was, or the speculation was, Perth may have been the highest bidder in that, in that time. So now I think with Australia proving to be a good market for wrestling. We saw that with Elimination Chamber. WWE was able to sell out tens of thousands, in an arena for that show. Why not AEW in a location that is starved of meaningful professional wrestling. And AEW did this already. They've done this back-to-back years now in London, in Wembley Stadium. They have a chance now to run a big show in Australia, a place that has not had again, meaningful, global, like, big-time wrestling, at least in North America, in ever, really. Like, outside of the Perth show, and I believe it was Super Showdown, whatever WWE ran in 2018, we haven't really seen that market really be used. And, they'll go on tour there, but WWE will rarely run, like, big shows there. But there's definitely room here for AEW to, I believe, start getting site fees. And they're not going to be the astronomical size of WWE site fees. Like, I believe WrestleMania this year was like something, or next year, was something crazy, like $5 million. I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to that. But you get that, plus you get tax incentives to run the show that make it, even more advantageous to you. It's a no-brainer, and it's going to start, I think, international bidding. And the international game is, I think, the one that AEW wants to play. Your product is not selling as well in the United States compared to internationally. That's just true. So take it internationally. Go where the fans are. Build that anticipation, build that excitement. And then when you run your first big stadium show in the United States, which potentially they could with this Dallas show that's speculated, then you're good to go. And you have a fan base that's going to be like, well, we want to go. We American fans want to attend an AEW live show. And I think there's a lot of different things at work here. We'll go back to the article real quick, and then I want to get into what Tony Khan had to say. But this is big stuff. Headed up by Shad Khan and Tony Khan, who also owns the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. AEW has previously hosted pay-per-views at iconic arenas such as Wembley Stadium, with another event, AEW All-In, scheduled for London venue later this month. Last year's Wembley Stadium show saw more than 80,000 fans attend, with a stadium spectacular in Australia expected to be a similarly hot ticket. AEW shows Dynamite and Rampage have been broadcast weekly across ESPN since 2023. That is in the Australian market, by the way. Although next year's planned event would be the company's first ever on Australian soil. The recent WWE pay-per-view visits have shown Aussie fans' willingness to be behind pro wrestling, with more than 52,000 attending Elimination Chamber in Perth earlier this year, with over 70,000 turned out for Super Showdown at MCG in 2018. A date for the possible AEW show in Australia is still to be locked in, with the promotion schedule wide open for 2025. A year-opening pay-per-view, Wrestle Dynasty, has been confirmed for the Tokyo Dome on January 5th. They signed AEW's commitment to global expansion, with an announcement on a potential Aussie show expected shortly. So that's the other thing. The announcement is expected shortly. This comes as Tony Khan, in recent interviews and on Twitter, has been popping off about big announcements coming imminent, and he is teasing multiple. It is not just one. It is not just the TV deal, or the media rights deal that is expected to happen at some point soon. But I think this Australian show could be the other big domino to fall. And look, we've talked about this. We've talked about the idea of AEW potentially running the or we know they're running Wrestle Dynasty as a stadium show in the Tokyo Dome. We know they're running the mind blanking here. Oh, they're running the Dallas Texas Rangers Stadium. There we go. Live TV, pal. But they're running Texas Rangers Stadium. They're running Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Dynasty. Question was, where could they run All In? Because I believe that the speculation, at least, is that, and don't quote me on this, but the Arlington show is not necessarily going to be All In. My thinking was keep All In as an international show AEW's international kind of excitement around the product and the enthusiasm that the product has internationally. Keep it like that for a while, and have like the Dallas show be another one. Like, have it be Double or Nothing. We know they're going to be looking for a new location for Double or Nothing. You could do that. It's a big bet, right? It's a big bet for AEW to do that. So as far as like what this could be, my guess would be, my hunch would be, my whatever would be, this could be the location of All In, and with an announcement expected shortly after now, it's going to be right around the time All In is going to be airing. They announced the location of last year's All In at that show, and it would be no surprise to at least me if they announced the same or a similar announcement, or made a similar announcement, at this year's All In about where next year's event is going to be, in order to build up that excitement, build up that anticipation, and really make All In into what it's starting to feel, which is a yearly global spectacle, like a wrestling spectacle, and be essentially their WrestleMania. Apparently that's a pretty controversial take online. They go, this isn't AEW's WrestleMania. It's double or nothing. Hey, all right, come on. If you watch the product, you know damn well that is not their WrestleMania. It is All In. It's the show that essentially started AEW, and it is the show that I think AEW, it will always be defined by. That first All In 2018, even though, again, it wasn't under the AEW banner, obviously, it was the spiritual predecessor to All Elite Wrestling. So, lot to talk about here in this. Guys, I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this? Do you want to see AEW go to Australia? I think they could pack a really big house in one of those cities in Australia, but I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about them running even more stadium shows in 2025? They might not be done. Who knows? Tony Khan could have like 8 more announcements coming. We don't know, but let me know in the comments section. Also, be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.